Hey everybody, I am back with another enhanced edition, and this time we're taking a look at Studio Series 38, I'm pretty sure it's 38, I always forget, Optimus Prime, who I have done a little bit of customizing on. You probably can't tell any of it from truck mode, that's sort of the intention. There's a little bit here and there that you might be able to see, like the smokestacks are now silver instead of this color gray, and this little bit here is also silver. I did not paint the canisters on the sides because that's still a little bit, I'm not into that. But yeah, it's it's the same old truck mode you're familiar with for the most part. Really not much else to say about it. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the original video or not, but I do kind of wish that these were out a little bit more to the sides rather than grouped towards the center, but can't really fix that with paint. I don't know, there's really not much else to say about it in truck mode, because like I said, I kind of didn't do anything to the truck because I intentionally wanted to hide most of the changes for robot mode. So let's get straight to that. Here I think it's a little bit more obvious that some things have changed. So essentially, I didn't go completely all out on the customization, obviously, because there's nothing extremely noticeably different in truck mode, but I just kind of wanted to add more detail here and there to the sort of internal mechanical bits. And I wanted them to look a little bit more like their internal mechanical bits, so let's start with the big slab of his back. I basically went in and painted like a bunch of little bits, like all the greebly bits and mechanically bits silver, and did a little bit up there too. Then I went in with the panel lining stuff and just kind of did a wash over top of it, because I wanted this to kind of look like it was like greasy machinery that had been used and stuff. And I also did a little bit of panel lining here and there. That was sort of the motif that I was going for here. I got the backs of the shoulders. I did the biceps, forearms, all around the outside there. Also did the yellow on the little yellow arrows on the forearms. And yeah, it's definitely, there were some things that didn't quite work out. I think part of it is just because of the paint I'm using, because it's enamel. And I know some people are not fond of Testors enamel paints, but when I started putting the wash over it, it actually started to take some of it off, which initially I was kind of bummed about, but as I'm looking at it, it's like, it doesn't really bother me because I wanted this to be like weathered, used machinery. So having some of it like rub off a little bit, I think is actually fine. It kind of adds to the look. I did a little bit on the back here too, which I left standard silver, but I also did a little bit in there, a little bit in there, did the backs of the calves, and again, like most of the stuff that's silver, I did that kind of wash over. I also got the insides of the legs a little bit. I didn't want to do the whole thing silver, but painted some specific machiny bits and also did the wash over most of it. And then on the front, I did the little ends of the toes. These are originally entirely blue, but again, did the silver and then the kind of wash over that. Did a little bit on the insides of the thighs and in here. Now, I was looking at photos, which I'm sure this makes sense to everyone who's seen it. I was looking at photos of the 3A Deluxe Optimus Prime for reference, because that's incredibly screen accurate from what I can tell in terms of detailing and sculpt and all that. The sculpting on this guy is not 100%, so I kind of had to take some liberties here and there, and also I just took some liberties with the coloring because I was not going to paint all of this gray plastic silver. Because like realistically what I should have done is paint the thighs entirely silver and leave the parts that I painted this gray plastic color. But I didn't really want to do that, and I think it turned out okay. Like once I applied the wash to everything, I think that kind of brings the silver color down a little bit and makes it work a little bit better with this. It doesn't stand out as much. Yeah, it was a lot of slow, meticulous painting that's still a little bit sloppy in places, but I think overall it actually worked out pretty darn well. Open this up. I did not add any silver to the midsection. I left the silver where it was, but I changed the black bits on the side here to a little bit of red, which doesn't quite match this, but because this is like the dirty and greasy area, I think that's fine. Did little red lines there as well, and then went over everything with that kind of wash. And here you can kind of see how it affects the gray plastic as opposed to being over the silver. And yeah, it doesn't quite match, But I think this still works because now everything that's grayish here looks kind of dingy, and certain parts are just a little bit shinier than others. So I think there's less of that obvious separation between the silver and the gray. That's pretty much it. That's what I did to Studio Series 38 Optimus Prime, and he's, by no means perfect in terms of screen accuracy or anything like that, but this is kind of what I wanted out of this mold of Prime. Like, I know there's the knockoff of this figure that's oversized that looks great, but I really, really, really have to be careful with physical space at this point. So for me, with the enhancements and stuff, the paint and whatnot, I kind of feel like this is the transforming Bumblebee movie Prime for me. Totally get that there'll be other people who prefer other iterations or want the larger version or whatever, but for me, this is the one. But I don't know. It's I tried to keep it relatively simple. Just add silver in a few key places to make it look like the mechanical bits are kind of poking through the red armor plating, and then dingy it up. I think I did okay. I definitely could have pushed it in a few other places, could have cleaned it up in a few other places, but I feel like it adds just enough. I'm still relatively new to the customizing scene and to painting my toys, so I feel like, at the very least, I didn't ruin anything. But that's all I gotta say about this. As I said, quite happy with it. But I'm curious to know what you all think. I know, his hands should be blue, but I'm not painting his hands blue. Anyway, aside from the hands being off, I'm curious what you all think of this. Is there anything that I may have missed in terms of my intended deco going on here? You think I should do anything with the gun? Because I contemplated it. I didn't actually do anything for it, but I was kind of thinking like maybe getting some of that silver and just doing like a dry brush over the whole thing to make it look a little bit more, used. A little bit less like just stark black plastic. I don't know. But whatever you're thinking, you can tell me down below. Thank you all for watching, and in the meantime, stay fabulous.